Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and time for another Patreon question. This one comes from Dalton, and they ask, if you could choose a favorite RPG/JRPG to be given the same treatment as Final Fantasy VII/Trials of Mana, which would it be and why? This is a great question, and to help me answer it, I've assembled a Metal Jesus crew, and we're going to start with Kelsey.
So with a game like Final Fantasy VII, I mean, definitely a classic, but if you've never played it before, and you go back to try to play it right now on the PlayStation 1, it feels pretty dated and pretty clunky. So I think that the best RPGs to remake are the ones that are super worth playing, but kind of difficult to approach now, especially if you've never played them before. And I think that describes some of the early Tales games pretty well. Tales of Destiny, and especially Tales of Fantasia. This came out on the Super Famicom originally, and it had voice acting, which was like revolutionary and amazing, but definitely doesn't sound very good now. The action combat in both of these games was good for the time, but it's definitely been improved upon a whole lot over the years, so it would be really cool to see them remade fully and kind of take advantage of the modern stuff, because they're definitely worth playing.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is Chrono Trigger. Because great story, great soundtrack, love the multiple endings element. A Chrono Trigger glow up would be phenomenal, and we know they can do it because they did it with Trials of Mana, like you said, for Super Famicom, ported over to modern day consoles. I'd love to see, even if it's the same style and everything, that with Chrono Trigger would be an instant sell for many, I would think. But one game I want to showcase would be Sword of Vermilion. Sword of Vermilion was a game for the Sega Genesis, one of my favorite games of all time. It's a little dated now, but it's still super, super, super fun. It has that overworld area where you're talking to townsfolk and buying items, and then when you're out in the overworld, it kind of dungeon crawls kind of in a way, but when you go to an enemy fight scene, then it turns into where you can walk around and slash your enemies. You go into like caves and dungeons, and you have to dungeon crawl those as well, find your items. There's boss battles in this game. I think there's a lot that they could do with Sword of Vermilion too. Oh, and Lunar, a Silver Star story would be great to see as an upmake as well. So great idea, and I mean, with all these games that are having their glow ups, I think we're going to see a lot more of them in the near future. I hope so.
If I had to pick an RPG to be remade, instantly, only one game comes to mind. And if you've heard me talk about any sort of RPGs ever before, you know exactly what I'm gonna say, and it's not a surprise to anybody. But it's Final Fantasy IX. God, I love this game so much! And if it could be remade with, like, similar graphics to the Final Fantasy VII remake, oh my god, I think I would just weep throughout the entire thing, and I would love it. Like, they've already remade some of the characters for games like Dissidia, so I mean, remaking the rest of the game isn't that far off, right? But I also think that pretty much any kind of PS1 era Square game could benefit from that treatment, because I loved so many of them. You know, you have things like Vagrant Story and Chrono Cross, and all of those I think would be excellent contenders. And pretty much when I was thinking about it though, I was trying to think of some Super Nintendo RPGs as well. But Super Nintendo graphics, like, I think look so good. Like, not quite the same, it's like early 3D, looks real rough, but Super Nintendo looks real good, so 100% Final Fantasy IX. It's gotta be remade. It's gonna look so good.
There are several RPG games that could benefit from the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment, but one in particular that means a lot to me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and please, 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 this game needs to be remade. I enjoy this game quite a bit. Knights of the Old Republic, if you haven't played it, PC, Xbox, but, this game had a lot of bugs. I think the gameplay, while still fun to play, I would love to see kind of like a remastered, updated treatment of this with the amazing graphics they can do now. They could really flesh out. This has an amazing story, but the gameplay could have been a little bit better and updated. Please, please, please remake this game. I think several fans out there would love to see this game remade, as well as me. I am just dying to see this redone, because it's simply amazing and one of the best Star Wars games made of all time.
I'm going to go ahead and choose probably a game that a lot of people are not familiar with, or if they are, not a popular opinion. Shadow Madness for the PlayStation 1. Now, this came out during what I would call the golden era of RPGs, during the PS1 through the PS2, 5th and 6th generation. And this game really had a lot of potential, I'll say. First of all, the good points about it has a very good story, good music, a lot of good character development. I thought the characters were hilarious, made me laugh at certain points, and certain elements in the game, like story elements, were actually pretty scary and creepy. The downfall, of course, as everybody knows, probably why they turned away from the game, the graphics. It had the whole thing that it said that they were trying to look like Final Fantasy VII. They pretty much failed. I mean, there's a difference when you're trying to look like a game and you actually look like that game. I mean, this game just fell short on that. So the graphics weren't that great. Now the gameplay, it was just, let's just say, yeah, I'll just admit it. It was way too easy, and a lot of items you got in the game, you didn't know what they did. The game had a problem with it would tell you that you had items, but you didn't know what they did. So it was kind of weird trying to figure out like what certain items did during battles. So I mean, you were just pretty much just randomly picking stuff just to see what it would do. So pretty crazy. And another thing, going back to the graphics, this game had summon moves, kind of like Final Fantasy VII. Well, just like it. And the summon moves were just like, they were laughable. You know, they would make you laugh. You couldn't, it's like they didn't finish the graphics for it. It was just hilarious. But luckily in this game, you can actually skip the summons after you use them. You know, they're powerful spells, but you can skip them so you don't have to watch the whole transition, which is funny or pretty annoying sometimes. But I had a good time with Shadow Madness. This is the type of RPG that you appreciate it for the story, which a lot of people should appreciate RPGs for, a good story. It's very unique and different. And it kept me like guessing what was going to happen next. But unfortunately, I guess the gameplay, graphics just really fell short. So this is the game I would love to see, that I'd like to see remade.
When you asked that question, one series immediately came to mind, and that is the Xenosaga series that came out on the PlayStation 2. I absolutely loved all three of these games when they came out, and I was so ready for something like this too, because yes, I do like role-playing games that are based on Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings, but you know, sometimes you get kind of tired of beating up orcs and elves and you want something new and different. And these three games definitely fit that because they are absolutely over the top, bonkers, and awesome. So basically they're science fiction JRPGs set 4,000 years in the future. And there's so much to love about these games. The graphics are great, the characters are really interesting. You've got aliens, you've got mechs, you've got cybernetic humans in here. You've got it all. If you are a science fiction fan like me, these games are completely, these are perfect for you. There's also this story where you're trying to find the meaning of life and the absolute truth of the universe. I mean, the scope of the story here is absolutely just crazy, and something you can really sink your teeth into if you're really a big fan of, you know, epic stories. And so I would love to see these come back and get that spit of polish, that little bit of remaster or, you know, remake that Final Fantasy got. I think it'd be really cool to see. However, these games can be kind of long and somewhat long-winded, and so I could see them potentially taking all three of these games and maybe trimming out a lot of the fat and some of the stuff you don't necessarily need to tell the story, and maybe just putting it into one or maybe two really long games. I don't know, it'd be really interesting for them to do that and take it on. I think they're fantastic. I think if you played them, you love them. If you haven't heard of them before, it would be really cool for them to get exposed to a new audience on, say, next-gen hardware. I think that would be absolutely amazing. But you guys know that there are a million different options for this. Choosing Xenosaga was really tough because there was a lot of other RPGs that I would have loved to have chosen, but you know, you only have time for one. So love to know what you guys think down in the comments below, what RPGs and JRPGs you think should get the remake, remaster treatment. I would love to know that. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.